Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're pulling back the glittering curtain of Hollywood to reveal the raw, painful, and often hidden battles that some of your favorite stars have silently endured. Behind the fame and flashing lights were struggles with drug addiction that nearly destroyed their lives. Stories so shocking, so heartbreaking, most fans never saw them coming. From stunning downfalls to jaw-dropping comebacks, these aren't just tales of survival. They're powerful reminders of the price of fame and the human strength behind the spotlight. Will these stars rise again, or remain haunted by the demons of their past? Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And tell us in the comments, drop a 1 if you feel for these stars, or a 0 if your take is different. Now let's get into it. The truth behind the glamour starts right here. Bruno Mars isn't just a singer, he's a powerhouse performer, songwriter, and producer who took the world by storm with chart-topping anthems like Uptown Funk and Just the Way You Are. Blending pop, funk, R&B, and soul with effortless charm, he's captivated millions and carved his name into the heart of modern music. With sold-out tours and countless awards, Bruno earned his place among the highest-paid artists on the planet, even landing on Forbes' coveted list. But behind the glittering lights and smooth vocals lies a moment in his past that nearly shattered it all. In 2010, at just 26 years old, Bruno Mars faced a major turning point. On September 19th, inside the Hard Rock Casino in Las Vegas, police discovered him in possession of cocaine, a shocking scandal that rocked the image of the rising superstar. The headlines were brutal. But instead of hiding, Bruno took accountability. He called his actions foolish and admitted he lied about his history with drugs. "I was young, I was drunk, and I made a bad decision," he later confessed. To avoid harsher punishment, Bruno entered a plea deal: stay out of trouble for a year, pay a $2,000 fine, and complete 200 hours of community service. It was a humbling chapter, one that could have derailed his career. But it didn't. Instead, Bruno rose stronger. He learned from the fall, dusted himself off, and let his music do the talking. In the end, it wasn't the mistake that defined him, but how he responded. Bruno Mars proved that greatness isn't about never falling. It's about rising every time you do. River Phoenix was more than just a rising star. He was a force of nature in Hollywood. A gifted actor and musician with a soul far older than his years, River captured hearts with every role he played, effortlessly blending raw emotion with artistic brilliance. But behind the fame and acclaim was a young man quietly battling demons that no one truly understood. In October 1993, River's light was tragically extinguished at just 23 years old, his life stolen by a deadly mix of cocaine and heroin. Though many believed he only used drugs occasionally, his former girlfriend, actress Martha Plimpton, once confessed that substance abuse deeply strained their relationship. Still, the two remained close until the very end. Just days before his death, River had wrapped filming in Utah and returned to Los Angeles, where he reportedly spent time partying with his bandmates. On Halloween night, he stepped into the famed Viper Room, a hotspot for celebrities, accompanied by his brother Joaquin, sister Rain, and close friend, musician Bob Forrest. At some point, River began feeling sick. In a moment of quiet panic, he told Forrest he thought he had overdosed. Tragically, his warning went unheeded. Moments later, he collapsed on the sidewalk outside the club. His girlfriend, Samantha Mathis, watched in horror as he convulsed uncontrollably. Paramedics arrived quickly, but it was too late. At 1:51 a.m. on October 31st, River Phoenix was pronounced dead. His death wasn't just a loss, it was a wake-up call. River Phoenix had the world at his feet, yet he fell victim to the same dark temptations that haunt so many in the spotlight. His story is a haunting reminder that talent doesn't make you invincible, and that even the brightest stars can burn out far too soon. Brittany Murphy left a deep mark on the entertainment industry with her impressive performances in films like Clueless Freeway and as the voice in the animated film Happy Feet. She was known for her adorable appearance, acting talent, and distinctive voice. However, Britney's life came to a tragic end in late 2009 when she passed away at the age of 32. Her death quickly caused a stir in the media as initial reports stated that she died of natural causes. But many people found that explanation unconvincing. Specifically, it was hard to believe that someone at the age of 32 could die in that way, and rumors quickly spread that Britney had used heroin and cocaine in the 2000s. Britney's sudden and abnormal weight loss raised significant concerns about her health. This further fueled suspicions that she was struggling with drug addiction. Her marriage to Simon Monjack, a man with mental and health issues, only added to the mystery surrounding Britney's life. Simon Monjack, her second husband, was known to have many personal problems, and tragically, he passed away just 5 months after Britney. The coroner's investigation revealed that several types of drugs were found next to Britney Murphy's bed, and the cause of death was determined to be an overdose. Close friends of Britney revealed that she had developed a serious drug problem after relying on painkillers to recover from several cosmetic surgeries. Although there is debate about the exact cause of her death, it is clear that Britney Murphy's life tragically ended due to addiction, a problem she could not overcome. Her death is a heartbreaking reminder of the traps that the showbiz life can bring and the invisible wounds that not everyone can see. David O. Selznick, the legendary producer behind Gone with the Wind, helped create one of the most iconic films in Hollywood history. But behind the dazzling success was a man whose behavior off-camera was far less glamorous. Despite his brilliance, Selznick was known for being a tyrant on set, driven by drug-fueled mood swings and an obsessive focus on the physical appearance of his actresses. The production may have shattered box office records and claimed 10 Academy Awards, but it came at a steep cost. Selznick was rumored to be addicted to Benzedrine, a stimulant he relied on to power through grueling filming schedules. He became infamous for crushing the pills and licking them from his palm, desperate to keep his energy up. While Gone with the Wind made cinematic history, its creation was marred by Selznick's drug dependency and the emotional toll it took on the cast and crew who endured his relentless and often erratic drive for perfection. Britney Spears didn't just ride the teen pop wave in the late 90s and early 2000s, she was the wave. Bursting onto the scene with electrifying hits like Baby One More Time and Toxic, she skyrocketed to global superstardom, becoming one of the most iconic and influential pop figures of her generation. But behind the dazzling stage lights and platinum records was a heartbreaking battle that few truly understood. In 2006, Britney's world began to unravel. Her highly publicized split from husband Kevin Federline wasn't just a tabloid headline, it was the beginning of a painful descent. Struggling with substance abuse and severe mental health issues, Britney's once glittering life spiraled into chaos. The media feasted on her every misstep. Reports of erratic behavior, stints in rehab, and hospitalizations painted a picture of a star in crisis. At her lowest, Britney faced unthinkable darkness. She reportedly attempted suicide and even made the chilling confession that she felt like the Antichrist, words that echoed her unbearable pain and isolation. The girl the world once adored was now trapped in a personal nightmare, desperate for help. But Britney's story didn't end there. With a diagnosis of bipolar disorder and the support of mental health professionals and loved ones, she entered an intensive rehabilitation program and began the long, difficult journey toward healing. It wasn't easy. Her path to recovery was filled with struggle and setbacks, but it was also marked by incredible resilience. Today, Britney Spears stands not only as a pop legend but as a symbol of survival. Her story is a powerful reminder that no matter how far someone falls, with strength, support, and perseverance, it's possible to rise again and reclaim your light. Daniel Baldwin, the second eldest of the famous Baldwin brothers, seemed destined for stardom, but behind the fame was a man spiraling out of control. His descent into addiction began in 1989, the same year he landed his first acting role at age 29. What started as a high quickly became a nightmare that nearly destroyed him. Unlike many addicts, Daniel didn't rely on alcohol, pills, or cigarettes. It was cocaine that had him in a chokehold. His darkest moment came in 1998, when he made national headlines after being found running naked through the halls of New York's Plaza Hotel, screaming his family name. He was arrested for cocaine possession and later pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct, receiving a court-mandated 3-month stint in rehab. But his road to recovery wasn't a straight line. It took 9 trips to rehab before he could finally break free. Today, Daniel Baldwin is more than just a Hollywood name. He's a man who turned his pain into purpose. Now a respected addiction counselor, he uses his hard-earned wisdom to guide others out of the darkness he once knew all too well. Jodie Sweetin, beloved by millions as the bubbly Stephanie Tanner on the iconic sitcom Full House, lived a very different story once the cameras stopped rolling. Behind her innocent on-screen persona was a young girl silently unraveling. By the age of 14, Jodie had already started drinking. What followed was a 13-year battle with addiction that nearly destroyed her. From ecstasy to meth to crack cocaine, she spiraled deep into substance abuse, far from the bright spotlight she once thrived in. But in 2009, Jodie took a bold step toward healing. She released her brutally honest memoir Unsweetened, baring her soul and exposing the harsh realities she faced after the show ended. The pages revealed raw moments, like delivering a speech at Marquette University while still reeling from a 2-day bender, moments that showed just how lost she had become. Yet it wasn't just a story of destruction, it was the beginning of redemption. Jodie reclaimed her sobriety in December 2008, but the road ahead was anything but smooth. In 2013, after a painful breakup, she faced new temptations, but this time, she chose a different path. Instead of giving in, she gave back. She began working at a drug rehab center in Los Angeles as a clinical logistics coordinator, using her experience to guide others through the same darkness she had once faced. She even went on to earn a degree in drug and alcohol counseling, becoming a beacon of hope for those still fighting their battles. Jodie Sweetin's journey is one of courage, resilience, and transformation. She didn't just survive, she rose, becoming a powerful reminder that even after the darkest chapters, a new story can begin. With strength, support, and unwavering determination, she proved that it's never too late to turn your life around. Drew Barrymore's childhood is one of the most heartbreaking examples of how Hollywood can chew up child stars and spit them out. She was just 7 years old when she lit up the screen in E.T. the Extraterrestrial, instantly becoming America's sweetheart. But behind the bright lights and red carpets was a childhood steeped in pain, chaos, and unimaginable pressure. Born into a legendary acting dynasty, Drew never got to experience the innocence most children take for granted. Her career began before she could even speak. At just 11 months old, she starred in a dog food commercial. From that moment on, she was swept into a world she didn't choose, one that would steal her youth and nearly cost her life. By the age of 7, while most kids were learning to ride bikes, Drew was being introduced to alcohol. Her first drink was a glass of Bailey's. By 11, she was already battling alcoholism. And by 12, she had fallen into drug addiction. It wasn't long before the pressure, loneliness, and trauma overwhelmed her. At just 13, Drew attempted to take her own life, a tragic cry for help from a child drowning in despair. After surviving that dark chapter, she was hospitalized and began a long, painful journey toward recovery. Her parents' divorce when she was only 9 left her even more vulnerable. Her mother, rather than shielding her, exposed her to the wild and destructive party scene of Hollywood, taking her to infamous clubs like Studio 54, where Drew was surrounded by excess and indulgence no child should ever witness. By 14, Drew made a bold choice. She emancipated herself, legally freeing herself from her parents' control. She even took a job cleaning bathrooms in a club just to carve out a little space of her own, a place where she could breathe and reclaim her sense of self. Though her road to healing was filled with setbacks and relapses, Drew slowly fought her way back. With support from close friends like Cameron Diaz, she rebuilt her life piece by piece. She didn't just recover, she reinvented herself. Today, Drew Barrymore is more than a survivor. She's a symbol of strength, resilience, and redemption. She's living proof that no matter how dark your past may be, it's never too late to choose the light, reclaim your story, and build a future filled with peace and purpose. Judy Garland, the unforgettable star of The Wizard of Oz, was born Frances Ethel Gum on June 19, 1922. While the world fell in love with her radiant smile and golden voice, few knew the heartbreaking reality behind the curtain. Signed by MGM as a teenager, Judy was thrust into the brutal spotlight of Hollywood, where she faced relentless pressure to be perfect, no matter the cost. As soon as she arrived in Tinseltown, her life became a battleground. Studio executives controlled everything, from what she ate to when she slept. They put her on strict diets and gave her amphetamines to stay thin and energetic, then sedatives to knock her out when the day was done. She was just 17 when she stepped into Dorothy's ruby slippers, but Judy was already grappling with a serious drug addiction, one that had been forced upon her by the very system meant to protect her. She later exposed a dark truth. She and fellow child star Mickey Rooney were routinely given pills just to keep working until they collapsed from exhaustion. As MGM's brightest star, Judy was praised on screen but pushed to the brink behind it. Nervous breakdowns became frequent. The addiction became all-consuming. And then the unthinkable. In June 1969, Judy Garland was found dead of a drug overdose at just 47 years old. A tragic end to a life filled with dazzling highs and devastating lows. How do you think the relentless pressure of Hollywood shaped Judy's fate? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more haunting stories from the golden age of Hollywood. Jeff Conaway, beloved for his role as Kenickie in the iconic film Grease, was a talented star whose life was overshadowed by a lifelong battle with addiction. His struggles were laid bare on Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew, where he openly spoke about his dependence on alcohol, cocaine, and painkillers. Though he first recognized his addiction in the mid-1980s and sought treatment, the demons he faced never truly left him. As his career dimmed under the weight of his substance abuse, Conaway also wrestled with a toxic, codependent relationship with his girlfriend, who was herself addicted to prescription opioids. Their mutual addiction became a heartbreaking cycle that only deepened his suffering. A major turning point came from a severe back injury he suffered while filming Grease. The chronic pain that followed pushed him further into the arms of painkillers, making his battle even more difficult. Despite multiple surgeries and a glimmer of hope shared in a 2009 interview, his fight with addiction remained relentless. On May 11, 2011, tragedy struck. Conaway was found unconscious, reportedly from an overdose. Despite medical efforts, he passed away at just 60 years old. Once a rising star with the world at his feet, his life was tragically cut short. His story is a sobering reminder of how powerful and unforgiving addiction can be. Though he left behind memorable performances, the pain behind the scenes told a far more heartbreaking story, one of talent lost and a life undone too soon. Marilyn Monroe, the timeless symbol of Hollywood's golden age, takes the 7th spot on our list. With her dazzling smile and unforgettable screen presence, she captivated millions around the world. But behind the camera flashes and red carpet glamour was a woman quietly unraveling. Marilyn battled deep depression, substance abuse, and what many believe was undiagnosed bipolar disorder. As the years passed, her mental health declined. She began forgetting her lines, losing herself in a haze of alcohol and pills, drifting further into despair. In August 1962, her psychiatrist found her lifeless in her Brentwood home. The official cause, a fatal overdose of barbiturates. But the tragedy wasn't just her death, it was the pain she carried through life, hidden beneath the surface of her fame. Marilyn was worshipped for her beauty, yet she felt invisible, adored by the world, but desperately alone. After her passing, a trove of personal poems, letters, and journal entries emerged, revealing a side of Monroe the public never saw. They exposed the vulnerable soul behind the legend, a woman plagued by insecurity, longing, and sleepless nights. Her life was a performance she never got to step away from, and even in private, the world still watched. Nude photos of her were published without consent, another violation in a life already stripped bare by fame. Marilyn once wrote that she could feel utterly alone even in a room full of people, and that haunting truth followed her to the end. Despite her stardom, despite being a global icon, she remained a woman in search of peace. Behind the glamour was heartbreak. Behind the legend was a life quietly aching. And behind every smile was a silent scream the world chose not to hear. Elvis Presley, the legendary king of rock and roll, left the world in shock when he was found dead at just 42 years old, collapsed on the bathroom floor of his Graceland mansion. The man who once electrified audiences with his signature hip-shaking swagger had become a bloated, fragile version of the icon he once was. A toxicology report later revealed a heartbreaking truth. Elvis had died from a lethal cocktail of drugs: Dilaudid, Percodan, Demerol, codeine, and Quaaludes. The very medications meant to ease his pain had instead taken his life. At the center of this tragedy was his longtime physician, Dr. George Nichopoulos, better known as Dr. Nick. What began as a treatment for back pain spiraled into a devastating opioid addiction. Over the years, Dr. Nick admitted to prescribing Elvis thousands of pills, sometimes even replacing them with placebos in a desperate attempt to curb the star's cravings. But in the end, he always gave in. In a cruel twist of fate, Elvis, who once proudly accepted a federal badge from President Nixon for his stand against drug abuse, would fall victim to the very epidemic he tried to fight. His death became a tragic reminder of addiction's quiet, merciless grip, even on kings. Mischa Barton, once a rising star with unforgettable roles in films like 12 Dreams of James Lyne and the beloved series All My Children, seemed destined for greatness. But behind the glamour and red carpets was a far more haunting reality, one of addiction, isolation, and inner turmoil. Her descent into a world of drugs wasn't just a scandal, it was a cry for help that many never heard. Despite her fame, Mischa was quietly fighting demons that nearly consumed her. Sources close to the actress revealed she sought out powerful prescription drugs like Adderall, Xanax, and Norcos, and even had connections to a known cocaine dealer. The signs were undeniable. Mischa was spiraling deeper into addiction. One of the most disturbing episodes came on her 31st birthday. In a moment that stunned those around her, she was found standing on a backyard fence in West Hollywood, ranting about the apocalypse. Alarmed neighbors called the police, and she was rushed to the hospital for an overnight stay. Later, Mischa claimed someone had drugged her drink with GHB, a powerful date rape drug, during a party that night. The incident raised troubling questions about what she was truly going through behind closed doors. To the world, she was a beautiful, talented actress with a bright future. But inside, she was carrying the weight of pain few could see. Mischa Barton's story is one of struggle, survival, and a fight for redemption. While her journey has been far from easy, she continues to seek healing, and perhaps, one day, a full return to the light she once radiated so effortlessly. Mary-Kate Olsen, the iconic child star and one half of the beloved Olsen twins, won hearts as little Michelle Tanner on Full House. But behind the cameras, her life was anything but picture perfect. As she grew older, Mary-Kate wrestled with severe body image issues that spiraled into a dangerous struggle with anorexia. Caught in a whirlwind of fame and pressure, she turned to drinking and smoking, habits that quickly led her down a darker path. High school brought even more trouble. She found herself in party circles where marijuana and cocaine were easy to come by, and before long, addiction had taken root. Whispers about her health and behavior started swirling in the tabloids. But the turning point came with unimaginable tragedy: the sudden death of her boyfriend, actor Heath Ledger, from a drug overdose. Shockingly, Mary-Kate was reportedly the first person called after he was found, and she later sought legal immunity concerning the substances involved. In the wake of that heartbreak, she checked into a 6-week rehab program, battling anorexia and quietly facing the shadow of addiction. Thankfully, Mary-Kate has since fought her way back from the edge. She's now living a life of sobriety and healing, leaving those haunting chapters behind. Corey Haim, the magnetic star of The Lost Boys, captured hearts with his charm and raw talent. A beloved Canadian actor and one half of the iconic duo with Corey Feldman, Haim seemed to have it all. But behind the fame and bright lights, he was silently drowning. His descent into addiction began in his teenage years, just as his career was taking off. Haim later revealed that the relentless pressures of acting and long days on set only pushed him further into substance abuse. Though he once believed a family vacation in 1989 marked a turning point, the truth was far more tragic. By 2001, he had cycled through rehab 15 times, desperately trying to escape the grip of prescription drugs. His struggle was relentless, and heartbreakingly, he never found lasting peace. In the final 32 days of his life, Haim illegally obtained over 550 pills, a haunting glimpse into the depths of his battle. While drugs weren't officially ruled as the cause of his death at just 38, Corey Haim's story is a sobering reminder. Behind Hollywood's sparkle often lie hidden scars and quiet suffering. Joanna Moore was once Hollywood's golden girl and the first wife of actor Ryan O'Neal, but behind the glamour, her life unraveled into heartbreak and tragedy. Born Dorothy Joan Nettle, she lit up the screen in over 17 films and made more than 100 TV appearances. But by the 1970s, the spotlight faded as addiction crept in. She tried to seek help, but was arrested for driving under the influence, and within a year, she lost custody of her children. In 1963, she married rising star Ryan O'Neal and had 2 children, Tatum and Griffin. While Ryan's career soared, Joanna sank deeper into despair after their bitter divorce. Sedatives and alcohol consumed her life. In a desperate attempt at redemption, she moved her family to a rundown farm, hoping to create a safe space for troubled teens. But according to daughter Tatum, the home became a dark, chaotic place, marked by neglect, drug use, and emotional trauma. Joanna's downward spiral never truly stopped. Her years of chain smoking finally caught up with her, and in 1997, she died of lung cancer, fading away far from the Hollywood stardom she once knew. Ryan O'Neal, the golden boy of early Hollywood, rose to fame with breakout roles in Peyton Place and the timeless classic Love Story, charming audiences with his talent and charisma. But behind the bright lights and red carpets was a deeply troubled man whose personal demons would ultimately eclipse his on-screen success. His life spiraled into a whirlwind of addiction, explosive tempers, and a string of controversies that painted a far darker picture than the one fans knew. Once hailed as a leading man, Ryan soon found himself at the center of disturbing headlines, none more shocking than the allegation that he once shot at his own son, Griffin, and introduced him to cocaine at just 11 years old. Griffin would later claim that moment shattered his life beyond repair, marking one of the most haunting chapters in Ryan's deeply fractured legacy. The O'Neal name, once associated with stardom, became synonymous with dysfunction. Nearly every family member battled addiction or emotional turmoil, turning the O'Neals into one of Hollywood's most unstable dynasties. Though Ryan contributed greatly to film and television, his violent outbursts and toxic family dynamics became a permanent stain on his legacy. On December 8, 2023, Ryan O'Neal's turbulent life came to a close. He left behind a legacy as complex as the man himself, one of undeniable talent, but also of pain, destruction, and tragedy. His story serves as a sobering reminder that fame can never truly mask the fractures hidden behind the scenes. Michael Jackson, the undisputed king of pop and one of the most influential cultural icons of the 20th century, spent the final 15 years of his life battling a devastating inner war, one marked by addiction, denial, and desperation. Behind the dazzling performances and iconic moonwalk was a man in pain. After suffering severe burns during a 1984 Pepsi commercial shoot, Jackson was prescribed opioids to manage the excruciating pain. That moment would prove to be a tragic turning point, igniting a long, harrowing descent into substance dependency. In the years that followed, whispers circulated that Jackson used as many as 19 fake identities to obtain the drugs he couldn't live without. The addiction that had started with pain relief spiraled into something far darker. By 1993, overwhelmed and deteriorating, Jackson entered rehab and joined a 12-step recovery program, hoping to reclaim control of his life. But addiction is a monster that doesn't let go easily. Despite the love and desperate interventions from friends and family, Jackson largely rejected their help, trapped in a cycle he couldn't break. On June 25, 2009, the world lost a legend. Michael Jackson died at just 50 years old from cardiac arrest, brought on by a lethal cocktail of sedatives and propofol, a potent anesthetic his personal physician administered to combat his chronic insomnia. That doctor was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter, but for millions of fans across the globe, no justice could fill the void left by Jackson's tragic end. His death remains a haunting symbol of how fame, pain, and unchecked addiction can silently destroy even the brightest stars. Michael Jackson didn't just die, he slowly disappeared under the weight of a struggle he could never fully escape. Macaulay Culkin, the unforgettable face of Home Alone, wasn't just a child star. He was a global sensation. That bright, mischievous boy with the charming grin stole the hearts of millions. But behind the fame and fortune was a story few truly knew, a story of pain, pressure, and survival. From the outside, he was living every kid's dream. But behind closed doors, Macaulay endured a reality that was anything but picture-perfect. He later revealed the harsh truth about his childhood, describing his father as cruel and abusive, a presence that haunted his formative years. As if the demands of stardom weren't enough, the emotional scars from home ran deep. At just 15, Macaulay made a bold and heartbreaking decision. He took legal action to block both his parents from accessing his $20 million trust fund. The headlines were brutal, with some even saying he had divorced his parents. The spotlight that once celebrated him now turned cold and invasive. As the years passed, the world watched as the golden boy's glow began to fade. In 2004, at 24, he was arrested in Oklahoma for possession of marijuana and 2 controlled substances. The image of the innocent kid from Christmas movies clashed violently with mugshots and tabloids. Then came the shocking photos in 2012, a frail, gaunt Macaulay clutching an energy drink, sparking fears and rumors about addiction and decline. But here's where his story takes a powerful turn. Macaulay didn't give up. He fought to reclaim his life. With the unwavering support of actress Brenda Song, a fellow child star who understood the chaos of fame, he began to heal. He found love, peace, and purpose. Slowly but surely, he started rebuilding the pieces of a life that had once been shattered. And every holiday season, as Home Alone graces our screens once again, we're reminded of the boy who once made the world laugh, and the man who overcame heartbreak to rediscover himself. Macaulay Culkin's journey is more than just a celebrity tale. It's a story of resilience, redemption, and the incredible strength it takes to rise again. If you're moved by his story, drop a 1 in the comments to show your support, or a 0 if you see things differently. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you never miss another powerful story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.